it's Elliot from Abroadin. Recently, we wrote a blog post about ethical investing for people living abroad, and I thought to myself, why not shoot a video about the blog post? So here's the video about ethical investing for people living abroad. Right. Ethical investing is one of the hottest topics in the investment community right now. In 2018, 49% of all managed investments in Europe, that's $14 trillion, were invested in some sort of ethical investment strategy. This trend is only going to continue, so I think it's really important we discuss it. In the investment community, we define ethical investing under three broad categories. You have ESG, SRI, and impact investing. Now, before getting into that, just keep in mind, ethical investing as itself means instead of just focused on pure profits, you're looking for investing into companies that also do good in the world, right? So ESG is short for environmental, social governance, and it's looking at three different factors when evaluating a firm. What's their environmental impact on the world, and not just in terms of do they recycle in the office, but rather are we a major polluter, are our supply chains clean, etc., down that line. Social looks at how well they treat people. So how well do they treat their employees? Are they paid fairly? Are they using any slave labor, which, for the record, is a very bad thing, although unfortunately it comes out in a lot of agricultural companies and food manufacturers. But that's the metric they're looking at. And finally, governance. So what does the corporate governance structure look like? Are executives getting paid a huge multiple versus the median pay, or are they paying them more fairly? Is there transparency in the reporting? Those sorts of things. SRI stands for socially responsible investing. Unlike ESG, where the focus is on profits, but from good companies, SRI focuses on primarily companies that are doing good in the world or excluding things that do harm, right? So that could be, a fund that excludes oil manufacturers or big fossil fuel polluters, or, gun manufacturers, weapon manufacturers, nuclear power plants, those sorts of things. Alcohol, if you think alcohol is a sin, that's the idea in SRI. SRI puts, the change above the profits, and that's really the big difference between SRI and ESG. Now, impact investing, the final one, goes into details about what a company does and then uses its position as a major shareholder to enact change. So it's a really active strategy, and they take all that money they have and say, hey, if you want us to keep investing in you, then you need to be a little bit more positively impactful on the world around us. As you can imagine, it's a much more active strategy. It's more hands-on. From an investment point of view, it's a little bit more costly and a little bit more risky, but it is one of the topics to be aware of. Now, for people living abroad, what do you need to look for when investing in ESG or ethical investing? Importantly, you probably want to invest in a fund rather than individual stocks, just because picking those stocks is time-consuming, costly, and quite prone to risks. Whereas when you go into a fund, a lot of that work is done for you, and some of the risks are mitigated. Now, when you're looking for a fund, you want to look for a fund that is transportable, right? And it crosses borders well, just like you. Like here in Spain, you could get an ESG fund that looks great for people living in Spain and who will live in Spain for eternity. But as soon as you go across the border, then it becomes a tax nightmare to keep up with. You might not even be able to access it. And it gets quite complicated from that sense. So make sure you're looking for global funds from a tax perspective and a reporting perspective. Second, and probably most importantly, when you're picking a fund, and this isn't just limited to ethical investing, you want to make sure you're picking something that speaks to your values. Investing isn't just about making money, it's about doing it in a way that you're comfortable with. And while we can talk about your risk tolerance, making sure your money is in places that will help you sleep at night and feel good about it is so crucial. Lastly, you can get into some crowdfunding. to get into more targeted projects. We talk about that in a little bit more detail in the video, in the link below in the article. But that should about do it. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and feel free to check out the article and our website. Thanks a lot, and see you later.